Good evening, folks. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Hope everyone has had a fantastic afternoon, evening. Hope you've enjoyed your day today. Glad to be before you this evening, folks. I have a very serious topic tonight, man. And a topic that is absolutely necessary to be discussed with the new turn of events, and that subject is on. And this is just a preview. I would say a teaser for what I'm going to go really in depth with tomorrow night at 9:30, where I intend to detail exactly the full dynamics of this particular subject tonight and how it has affected men in general, black men in particular. And those of you men who watch my stream, you're going to know how you've been affected or how you know someone who has. And that subject tonight is the hustle is over. Ladies, the hustle is over. Paternity fraud. This is part 1. Tomorrow will be part 2 at 9:30, where I go in much deeper depth on the subject with much more detail and give you a clear understanding of just how long this facade, this fraud has been going on for so long. You know, when you start discussing the subject of paternity fraud, you have to deal with many, many years that men in general, black men in particular, have suffered under this particular scheme, under this particular hustle, at the hands of women, black women in particular, where we are concerned. There are many men right now, as a result of paternity fraud, that are doing time in prison, time in jail for child support cases, for children that biologically do not belong to them. Oh yeah, no doubt. And to my sad regret, this kind of facade or fraud, this kind of hustle that's been going on for so long, it's legally on the books as not a crime. Believe it or not, it's not on the books as a crime. They have something in place called VAP, which means voluntary acknowledgement of paternity, which every father has to sign, simply based on the strength and the word of the woman who says that he is the father. Now, guys, let me tell you something, man. I know you caught up in your feelings. I know you feel strongly about this young lady that you may be with. I know. You may even have strong emotional ties to the child that you've been currently taking care of. But I will ask you a question. If in the event of an emergency, or medical emergency, I should say, where blood is required, worst case scenario, if a liver is required, or some body part is required to save the life of the child that you have an emotional tie to, how secure are you at giving that body part, at giving that blood transfusion, if in fact you have not had a DNA test to prove whether that child belongs to you, especially if she is not your wife. I want you to think. Ladies, get out of your emotions. Because I will tell you, if this wasn't a serious issue, there wouldn't be 5.3 million and 7.7 million children who are victims of paternity fraud. And those are only the ones that have received the DNA test to prove that the children did not belong to the father that you claimed was the father, knowing that he was not. Understand? On the books and on the record, 30 to 40% of all DNA tests currently prove that the men who were told was the father biologically through DNA testing have proved that he was not the father, and yet he still holds the responsibility and the bag, financially and emotionally, of taking care of a child that did not belong to him. And yet, in spite of the deception, in spite of the lie, in spite of the fraud, women are not held accountable for this facade, for this lie, and for this fraud. For years, men's checks are garnished. For years, men's emotions are turned inside out and upside down based on a lie. And yet, they're not supposed to ask for a DNA test. Well, let me ask you a question, ladies. How many of you, before getting into a serious relationship, asked the man that you were interested in to get an STD test to prove whether they were carrying an STD or whether they were carrying a disease known as HIV, right? You've asked these questions. Everyone and anyone who hears that can understand you having that request. Ladies, you support women having that request. You support any woman, including yourself, at having that request from a man so that you can secure and put to rest any suspicions or fears that you may have that that man is carrying an STD, or in fact, if he's carrying HIV virus. Would you be wrong in asking for a test? I think not. But you know, it's really funny to me, ladies, that you find yourself so offended. If a man asks you for a DNA test, you say to yourself, what? You're asking me for a DNA test? All this time we've been together? My daughter loves you. My son loves you. Well, we understand all of that. But like I said, 5.3 million and 7.7 million in this country. The children are found victims of paternity fraud, based on a lie, based on fraud. And many of you ladies who do this, you do it in an effort to gain financial gain by way of social services and by way of child support and things of that nature. So tell me, how is it fair if you lie to a man about a child that you know in your own mind? And ladies, those of you that watch my stream, you know if you're a victim of what I'm saying. And I want you guys to leave in the chat box. If you yourself is a victim of paternity fraud, I want you to leave your comments in the chat room. I want you to tell me a little bit about your story. You don't have to go into detail, but I want you to acknowledge the fact that you've become a victim of this same thing, or that you know someone who has. Put it in the chat room. I will respond to you. I promise you that. I will respond. But this is a pandemic that has afflicted men for years and years, many of whom are still doing time in prison, or who are being run back and forth through the courts for a child that does not belong to them. You know, ladies, like I said in the beginning of the stream, the hustle is over. Paternity fraud. Understand this. House Bill 2689, which just got passed in Tennessee, and it's on the floor voting. In Michigan. It's on the floor in Florida. And my prayers is that it will hit all 50 plus states. Understand this, that any results that you've received as a result of paternity fraud, you will face criminal prosecution. Understand that. Understand that. There's an old saying, and I know many of you that are watching my stream, ladies and guys, you know the old saying, what's done in the dark will soon come to the light. I'm going to explain something to you. There's 3 ways, and this is a very short stream tonight. Again, this is just a teaser for what I'm going to go into depth with tomorrow. Much more depth. And I thank all of you for getting on the stream tonight. Shout out to Margaret. Shout out to you, Mom. I love you. Thank you for getting on the stream tonight. And shout out for all of you that get on the stream after it's live streamed. But I will say this. There are 3 ways that this scheme, this fraud, this lie will be exposed in so many different ways. In many ways, it's exposed this way. First way, DNA testing, which proves that the father is not the biological father of the child. The second way that it comes out is through a deathbed confession, where the mother is on her deathbed and she confesses and on her deathbed that the child is not the biological child of the father. The third way is usually after the child has already aged and become an adult. Something medically happens. Again, we can't determine what happens to any of us medically. We don't know what's going to happen to us that will require a blood transfusion, or any kind of medical procedure. Perhaps we may need a liver. You never know. You just never know. So we can't dictate these things, but imagine finding out by way of a medical procedure that you have no control over, where your blood, men, is required to save your child that you thought was your child, only to find that your blood does not mix by way of DNA testing, and then you find out under those circumstances that you are not the biological father. Ladies, you must stop playing this game, because I will tell you this, however long it's been going on, the jig is up. The hustle is over. Paternity fraud is real. And for those of you that have received, again, benefits by way of social service, benefits by way of WIC and food stamps and all those things, and even monetary gain as a result, child support and all these things. If in fact this law is passed, and I believe it will be, in fact, I'm praying that it will be. I'm praying that it will be. I'm praying that it will be. But when it's passed, you will face prosecution. You will be responsible for returning every dime that you've received based on this lie and based on this fraud. Now, I know many of you ladies don't want to see a law like this passed. I know you don't. Because it will force you to keep your legs closed. It will force you to keep your legs closed. Oh yeah, it's going to force you to keep your legs closed. You won't be able to raise your legs up in the air and wave them like you just don't care. You won't be able to do that anymore. You'll have to think first about what you're doing. This law also says that a one-night stand will not require a man to pay child support if, in fact, you become pregnant. It's going to be based on long-term relationships. I love this law. You know why? Because it's going to force you to be serious about relationships. That's what it's going to force you to do. It's going to force you to negate and abandon hot girl summer. It's going to force you, because I will tell you this, ladies, no matter what you say, you are the gatekeepers of sex. No man can have sex with you unless you permit it. In 3 ways, whether you permit it by way of contraceptive, birth control, or whether you permit it by way of a condom, or whether you permit it by the old-fashioned way, raw dog. And if you permitted in either three of those ways, it only happened because at your permission. You're going to have to take accountability for all of your decisions based on this law. Oh, I promise you that. Again, the hustle is over. The jig is up. Paternity fraud is going to be knocking at your door soon. So those of you that were planning it, just abandon your plans. Abandon your plans. And guys, if you're listening to my stream, stop being so thirsty. Stop being so thirsty to go to bed. Stop being so thirsty, man. Stop being so thirsty. Because many of you are so thirsty that you're irresponsible about your decision in the first place. You don't think about what's happening. You are the target. Sometimes you are the mark. You got to pay attention, man. You got to pay attention. Like all things, when I say it in my stream, the pendulum swings in both directions. You will be held accountable also for your decisions. Men, you will be held accountable as well. Again, this is House Bill 2689, just passed legally in Tennessee. Shout out to Tennessee. Shout out to Tennessee. I'm very excited about this bill. Very excited indeed, because this is the kind of bill that will in fact hold women accountable. Because again, like I said, too many of us, too many men in general, black men in particular, have been caught up in paying child support for children that do not belong to us. Have been caught up in having our checks garnished for children that do not belong to us. Have been caught up. I mean, completely caught up. Because these women have been lying a lot for years. And they lie for a lot of different reasons. Like I said, they lie because they either know you're a better choice based on the pookie or the nug that they laid down with. Your income is better, your behavior is better, your attitude is better. They know who they laid down with. They know it was Pookie, they know it was Nug, they know it was Killer Mike, but they know them dudes ain't gonna do nothing anyway. But they target you because you have a better personality, because you're more responsible, so they target you. And they know your nose is wide open, brother. They know it. Your nose is wide open like the Holland Tunnel. It's so wide open. Then no matter what she says, because you love her, because you care for her, if she told you she had twins and you said it was yours, you go ahead and believe it. Even if your first mind tells you that it's not true and that it can't be true, you still won't do the necessary work or investigation to find out if it's true. You'll take full responsibility and you'll sign what I call the VAP, the Voluntary Acknowledgement of Paternity, which is on the books right now. Again, paternity fraud in the United States currently, as I speak, is not an illegal crime, and it should be. Oh, but it will be soon, ladies. The hustle is over. The jig is up. Paternity fraud will be knocking at your door soon. Soon. It's going to force you to be the lady that you should be. It's going to force you to keep your legs closed. That's what it's going to force you to do. I know you're hot and bothered, but it's going to force you to keep your legs closed. It's going to force you to keep your legs closed. Because continuing in this path, you will be prosecuted. If in fact it hits the state you live in, you will be prosecuted. You won't be able to continue lying on men, putting the responsibility for a child that you know does not belong to him. You will not be able to continue doing that going forward into the future. I'm very excited about a law like this. Very excited. You say, well, Charles, you should have some remorse. No, I don't have any. None. No, I don't have any remorse. I'm going to tell you why I don't. Because, ladies, those of you who have played this game, you have not had remorse on the men that you did it to. You have had no remorse. Again, let's talk about it now as a man's channel. I speak for men. And if the ladies, if you can benefit from anything that I say on Let's Talk About It Now, as I speak to men, then you are one of the special ones. For those of you that get caught up in your feelings, my channel ain't for you anyway. You can log off. But paternity fraud is coming your way. This is Paternity Fraud Part 2. The hustle is over. This is just a sneak preview. I'm going to go really in depth tomorrow. Again, I thank all of you for getting on the channel tonight. I thank all of you for getting on the channel tonight. I'm going to say to you, brothers, stop being simps. That's right, I said it. Stop being simps. Stop being so thirsty for the booty. Yeah. Knock it off, man. Knock it off. It's really embarrassing. Stop it. Knock it off. It's really embarrassing. Knock it off. Knock it off, man. Knock it off. Because you and I and many men in this country are becoming victims for being thirsty. There's more than enough women in the world, man, for you to fall victim for the few that you do fall victim to. You know what I'm saying? Get your stuff together, man. If you get your stuff together, if you raise your expectations and your standards, trust me, you'll select a different kind of female. I promise you that. Because most of the women that do these things, these are the Shaniquas and the Shanays, and yeah, you got a few high elevated women that play these games, but for the most part, it's an avoidable situation, man. That's all I'm saying. It's an avoidable situation if you just use your head. Not the one between your legs, but the one on your shoulders. Use your head, man. Use your head. Ladies, the hustle is over. The jig is up. Paternity fraud is knocking at your door, man. It's coming. I thank all of you for getting on the stream tonight. Again, this is a short stream. Just a little teaser, because I'm going to go more in depth tomorrow at 9:30. Shout out to all of you that got on the stream tonight. Shout out to all of you that got on the stream tonight. Someone said, put your name to let me know who made that comment. This particular viewer said, think about all these precious babies. You really need to think about the babies. You know what? On that comment, I want to say this. Again, like I said, 5.3 million as I close, and 7.7 up to 7.7 million are victims, children that are victims of paternity fraud. It's not simply, ladies, it's not simply you lying on the man to gain financial gain or to get some kind of benefit by way of social service. No, it's bigger than that. Many men find out that the child is not theirs after they've raised the child, and the child is now an adult. Do you understand? Do you understand the magnitude of that lie? The financial and emotional turmoil that's associated with that lie. Do you understand? Do you understand? So you gain a little bit from the back end, but look at what you reap in the whirlwind. Now your children hate you because they believe that was their father based on your lie. Based on your lie, they believe that was their father based on your lie. Because you're selfish and greedy and self-centered. And more importantly, you didn't care nothing about the man you were sleeping with. It was all about a come up. Guys, this is why you hear me say in all my streams, don't marry none of these women. No, not today. Not today. Not today. No, none of them. Not today. Because you have to go through a series of proving grounds before you can get that title. Many of these women like the title, but don't possess the attributes of a wife. So you need to be very careful about who you walk down the aisle with. Oh, you better be very careful, and you certainly better protect your seed. No good farmer just throws his seed on any field. He makes sure that the field is fertile. He makes sure that the field is good. It's not clay soil. It's not rocky soil. He makes sure it's good soil that can bring forth a good crop. How many of you guys are paying attention to what soil you drop your seed in? Some of you so thirsty you drop your seed in any kind of soil. Don't matter what it is. It's rocky soil, clay soil, no soil at all, you know? And then you wonder why you're reaping all the negative outcomes that you reap. Men that fall victim to this kind of thing, it's usually because you're not taking into consideration the soil that you're dropping your seed in. That's the problem, guys. I understand. I'm not beating you up. I'm not trying to be harshly judgmental on you either, man. Because we all make these mistakes. But I want you to understand going forward. And for those of you that have not become victims of this, but if you know someone who has, I want you to put that in the chat room. And I want you to let me know about your experience of those that you do know. And in fact, if you've been a victim of it yourself. The emotional devastation is unexplainable. And the financial devastation is unexplainable, man. You can avoid these things. But we have a new day coming. A new day is coming, and I believe has arrived. House Bill 2689. It's the new bill passed in Tennessee, where it will require a man to take a DNA test prior to signing the birth certificate. And you will know if this becomes law, whether you in fact are the biological father before you spend 20 years of an investment, 20 years of an emotional investment on a child that perhaps did not belong to you. And in fact, the biological father gets to walk away free. Now I'm going to say this also. Some of the biological fathers who don't even know they have a child because they was with some silly woman who lied, who was greedy, selfish, and self-centered, who wanted to capitalize on the government's benefits by way of child support or any social service benefit that was made affordable to her as a result of her pregnancy. That biological father who never knew he had a child, guess what? He's also suffered. He's also a victim because he perhaps would have taken care of his own child if he'd known he was the father. See, ladies, you got to stop playing these games, man. You got to stop playing these games. Don't get mad at men who talk about these subjects. No. Just take accountability. Sit down, be quiet, humble yourself, get out of your feelings, and listen. Because see, many of you ladies listen but never learn. What I'm saying to you, and like I say in all streams, don't get in your feelings. Just listen. That's it. Just listen. Because you ladies don't help each other to fix yourself out of your own problems. You're your worst enemies because you won't talk to each other. You won't tell each other the truth. When you know that the other woman is wrong, or you know the other sister is wrong, or you know your friend, your female friend is wrong, or you know your sister is wrong, and you see the dirt and the grime and the grit and the self-centeredness and the greediness that's going on. You know it, you see it amongst yourselves, but what you do is you sit and laugh and giggle and it becomes a fun conversation, but you won't help each other by telling each other the truth. So you guys are really horrible to each other, man. And I said it in other streams, you guys are terrible, man. You don't help each other at all. But when it all falls down, when all the dominoes fall and they fall away out of favor for you and the outcomes that you say you want, then all of a sudden the men become the fault. Oh, man. You ladies, man. You really got to turn the trajectory of how you think around. The house of cards is falling. Do you understand that? Do you understand me? The house of cards is falling. Do you understand? The house of cards is falling. The hustle is over. Paternity fraud. With that being said, guys, I thank you all for getting on the stream tonight. Shout out to Margaret for that comment. She says, think about the precious babies. Excellent comment. Absolutely, we got to think about the precious babies, no doubt. Like the Holland Tunnel. Wow. Come on, ladies. Get it together. Yeah, we really do. I mean, I tell you, man, it's really a sad situation. And yet, I'm going to tell you, I'm excited. I hope, listen, let me tell you something. Yeah, this may sound harsh. All you ladies that are playing this game, I hope you face incarceration. I do. I really do. You need to go to jail. You need to go to jail. I'm not playing. You need to go to jail. Because you know what? There's too many men in jail right now based on your lie. Why shouldn't you see what it's like to be behind the wall? You need to go to jail. If it's a crime, it's a crime. Right now, for fraud, just fraud alone, anything over $5,000, you can get up to 14 years in prison. How many thousands of dollars have you extracted from the system based on paternity fraud? Now you do the math. How many years should you do in jail? Again, like I said, the hustle is over. Fraternity fraud. That being said, I am your host, Charles Chandler. It's been another stream, a short stream of Let's Talk About It Now. As you come into the building, hit that subscribe button, hit the share button. Support the stream by way of Cash App, $CG4033. And with all of that being said, I appreciate your support. And with that, we are out. Thank you all for getting on the stream tonight, folks. Have a good night. I look forward to seeing you all on the stream tomorrow night at 9:30, where I will go deeper in depth with this subject. All right. Good night, guys. Leave your comments in the comment section. Let me know if you've experienced this personally or if you know someone who has. Again, I look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Have a good night, folks. We're out.